Hello, my name is Adonis and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm still going to be dropping my regular videos tomorrow. My weekly love videos, don't worry about that. But for today, I got something to say, so I'm going to say it. Now, some of you I may offend. I apologize in advance, but I think this is something that really needs to be said, all right? So, here we go. Let's get after it. First of all, there are 95 to 98% of people that get the COVID-19 virus recover from it. That's number one, all right? And I think that is something to really be put into context here. I believe that there is a huge amount of fear being on purpose, okay? There's one thing about being informed, trying to inform people. But then there's something else I think that's kind of going on here. All right, now I've been kind of sitting back in the cut just watching for a little bit, and it's kind of like this narrative: if it bleeds, it leads, and there's like this horrific amount of negative information, this 24-hour news cycle, this loop constantly, and you need to be careful about watching this stuff. You know, an overindulgence of this stuff is going to bring down your level of consciousness. All right. And just kind of overall bring you down. I'll give you an example of what I think of as far as government overreach. So I got 3 examples here. One is in Michigan. This happened today. In Michigan, you're no longer going to be able to go anywhere to see like relatives or friends or anything. You're in complete lockdown. You can only go out for exercise. And that's it. They're getting more stringent with the lockdown, if that's possible, than they were before. Now, even though as we begin to hit this curve and start to go down, people are, they're kind of really tightening these restrictions. So I get that, but some of these measures are so draconian. It just kind of makes you wonder, really, is that necessary? We're wearing the mask, we're social distancing, but it's even more tighter restrictions. You can't see your relative, even if you're social distance. You just can't, even if you're social distance, wearing the mask, you still can't come in contact with them. Okay, all right. Then we got this thing that happened in Mississippi. So there was this preacher that was giving a sermon, all right? So it was in the parking lot, all right? All the cars were spaced from one another. There's out in the parking lot. Everybody's car was spaced from each other. Windows were rolled up, and this preacher was giving a sermon. All of a sudden, they got surrounded by cops, okay? And the preacher was told, the pastor, pardon me, was told that his civil rights were temporarily being suspended because of the COVID-19. And so I guess I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, so you got people, they're in cars, okay? They're social distance because they're in their car. So that's one thing, but the cars are spaced out from one another. Windows are up, and a pastor is giving a sermon outside to give people a sense of comfort in this time of chaos. And they were asked to disperse. And so, and the third example would be there was this lake in London. I'm sure all of you probably heard about it. Now, not London, but England. It was a popular tourist spot, a very deep blue lake. And what the authorities decided to do was to dye this very deep, beautiful lake, to dye it black in order to discourage people from visiting the site. And so, I'm getting the feeling here that this is beginning to be a bit of overreach here. Okay? But just kind of give you like a personal observation that I have. So, construction is still deemed to be essential. Okay, and this is just an observation that I witnessed just driving down the street to the market. So on one side of the street, you have construction workers working. Okay, no mask, no protective gear. They're kind of talking to one another. You know, it's hot outside, so they're sweating on each other, right up in each other's faces. Um, you know, so I was like, okay, wow, all right. So I guess during this period of time, they're doing a lot of construction, okay? And so as I kept seeing more and more and more of these construction workers like out and about, you know, doing what they were supposed to be doing, working on the street, working on buildings and so forth. And I kind of noticed nobody had any protective gear on. No one had any kind of face mask on. And they're right up in each other's faces and they're talking. And so I'm like, okay, so I guess it's hot. I kind of get that, but they're doing that. Right directly across the street, you got people walking by, masks all gloved up. And I'm looking at the contrast to this. You got people sweating on each other, talking to each other, working out there in the street, working on these buildings. You got people directly across the street, gloved up, face masked up, social distance, the whole nine. And so I was just kind of struck by the the oddity of the situation. Like, you know, maybe these workers should have either, you know, kind of wore protective gear to cover themselves up so they wouldn't be spreading it to each other, or maybe the people that were across the street, the students and so forth, maybe they were just kind of just so jazzed up that the irony of the situation, they didn't even notice the irony of the situation. Um, the other thing that I find kind of curious about this whole thing is that in the history of our government, uh, rather it be wars, rather it be, I mean, we go to war with people all the time for our own interest as a country. And we don't give two shits about what we do to the people there. Um, we really don't really give a shit about what harm comes to our soldiers either. Okay, I'm a former vet, so I think that gives me, you know, the right to speak out about this from this perspective here. I lost a couple friends in Iraq, and I'm gonna tell you something. The the little pittance that their families was given was nothing. It's nothing at all. You know, people out of a son, out of a father, out of a brother, um, out of a husband. And so, you know, now all of a sudden we have such, we want to save humanity. We want to make sure that everyone is safe. We don't give a shit as a country about our elderly. We give them shit food, teach nobody nothing about nutrition at all. You go to some of these nursing homes, a lot of these places are run like they used to run old school mental hospitals back in the day. You know, it's kind of like bring them in and get them out. You know, and so this pretense of us really caring, this great caring. I don't know. I'm suspect of it. I don't think. I have my suspicions about it. I think it kind of serves the narrative, which is why, you know, they're constantly talking about it here. You just look at the history of our country. Just look in the history books, and you'll see, you know, for yourself some of the things still happen to this day that I'm talking about. The other thing here is that um, one thing that really helped us when we were in the military, when I first got out doing basic training, we had something called a Hell Week. Okay, and so I was in all one stop. It was basic training was for 3 months long, along with my MOS. I was 11 Bravo, which is in infantry. Okay, so um, we knew there was like a countdown, you know, like you know, a countdown, and you know, something, an end date to look forward to, basically. Now I understand because of the nature of this virus that you can't exactly give a definitive time when you know, things are going to open up. There's a lot of dynamics at play here, but there are some officials that, you know, it's kind of like, you know, hey, things are most likely going to be like this for the next 4 months. in certain parts of England, hey, the next, for another 6 months from now, that's when we're going to be able to get back to normal. There's even papers being written by certain scientists, okay, that are saying the most optimal way to really make sure that we really stomp this thing out is for things to remain like this for a whopping, uh, what was it, uh, 12 to 13 months. Some and some papers, depending on the journal, it can even be as high as 16 months. So if you can fathom this, just kind of being like this for 12 to 13 to 13 to 16 months, it's incredible. And these people say this without a care about people's mental health. Now I'm going to move into the health situation about this that I'm somewhat concerned about. So um, no, just from observation, okay, just from an observation perspective. So you're closed. The markets are closed early, so they can clean and so forth. I get that. They open up a little bit later. Some of them open an hour earlier to give elderly a chance to get in there, get what they need, and leave, and let everyone else come in. But they close early. You notice all of these fast food places just are just booming lines around the corner, uh, Krispy Kremes around the corner. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. And so this, to me, this is really a twofold issue. One, we're talking about people not getting access with this sliver, this window. People really being able to have access to healthy food choices. But you always got the fast food joint. This greasy ass cholesterol filled artery clogging shit that we're being presented with. Now, we're talking about obesity. We're talking about high cholesterol. We're talking about high blood pressure. And remember, there are no gyms open here. So, I mean, you can go outside and you can run, and depending on where you are, you got a curfew of like 8 o'clock in some places up north. So, there really doesn't seem to be, after this thing eventually comes to an end, I guarantee you there are going to be some people that are suffering from some real health issues in the realm of high blood pressure, cholesterol, and in some cases even obesity. Because also when you mix into the fray depression, okay, which brings me to my mental health part of this. You know, there's this aspect of depression that really needs to be focused in on. And also, if we are, believing the fact that people with pre-existing conditions are more susceptible to this, heart conditions and so forth, I can't help but think that somehow the unforeseen consequence of leaving these fast food restaurants that are open and having markets close earlier wouldn't in some kind of way make you more susceptible. Not to mention, you got liquor stores. Again, depending on when you are, that are open. You got some places that are even delivering alcohol to your door. Okay. There are even some gar stores that are shops that are kind of open. Again, depending on the locale that you are. Again, respiratory. Okay, we get alcohol bringing down your immune system. So a lot of this shit just doesn't make sense on its face. Okay. Now again, you're depressed. You're gonna go for the alcohol. You're gonna go to smoke to kind of get you to calm down. Plus, there's this aspect of having no human contact and this feeling of this thing is gonna be lasting for like an unforeseeable, indefinite period of time. So we're dealing with all of that here. Um, and again, another thing that's kind of being somewhat pushed under the radar here, and it's kind of talked about a little bit. Domestic abuse is skyrocketing. All right, and I just want to say this to those people out there that are engaged in this type of stuff. If you are a person that is engaging in this, you are a coward, straight up. And you know who you are. and this is directed towards you. Everyone is under a tremendous amount of stress here. And, you know, I just keep hearing report after report after report. I know a couple of individuals, too, that have engaged in being physically violent with, you know, with their loved ones because it's just under a lot of stress here. Find better ways to deal with that, okay? Find yourself a corner, meditate, go take a run or jog if you can. You know, do what you need to do, but keep your hands to yourself, okay? Because you are a coward if you do that, okay? Um, Furthermore, what's even more cowardly than that are people that know that it's going on and don't say anything about it because they have this sense of, well, this is not my problem. I want to mind my business. Okay. Um, there, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. All right. So if you know someone that is part of some type of domestic abuse situation, do yourself and do them a favor, and you know, do what you need to do. Contact the authorities or whatever, whatever. All of this dry snitching shit is ridiculous when it comes to that. All right. So you got to watch out for your fellow man. You got to watch out for each other. And so again, I'm not one of these people that's coming out here and saying COVID-19 doesn't exist. Blah blah blah. Blah. I absolutely believe that this disease is absolutely a ravenous disease. Okay, but I do have to question closing down, shutting down the entirety of damn near the entirety of the economy. Okay, I just kind of wonder in the long run, because we're not even talking about recession, we're talking about depression to some extent here. And I just hope that the powers that be knows what they're doing. But this is what I will say, um, from my perspective here. This is only my perspective. Um, Even if does, when this does come to an end, there has never been a greater time to become self-dependent. To, you know, you guys that are out there that work in 9 to 5 jobs and things of that nature, try to digitize, if you can, your revenue source or a part of your revenue source. Okay, so in case something like this happens again, at least that you're able to make some type of revenue. You don't have to depend on basically a handout or a welfare type situation for the government, because it's basically you're kind of like you're at the mercy of the government at this point because of this forced shutdown here. So you're able to have some sort of revenue coming in from an alternative source, because hey, Google ain't shutting down, neither is YouTube. Okay, so people that, I mean, we have seen somewhat of a drop in our revenue, but at least there's still some coming in. Unlike some folks that are like, you know, restaurants or bartenders or, you know, hotel managers or things like that. I mean, they got nothing. A lot of people, especially in my area, a lot of businesses has folded up because they just can't do it. All right. So as it was, they were kind of living. They were just kind of going month to month as it was. And when this happened, you know, it just is a devastating blow. Some businesses will not be able to come back. So life is definitely going to change as we know it, and we can do it. Places in Asia have been dealing with SARS, and the Middle East have been dealing with MARS outbreaks, and so, you know, wearing masks and gloves or something like that's not something that's not uncommon. Okay, but what I'm trying to say here is we do not need to lose our humanity in the process. And that's what I'm really concerned about here. Um, and so, I mean, that's just my little rant about kind of giving a little bit of perspective on what's going on here, and maybe kind of get people to kind of take a step back, okay, and kind of maybe look at things from another perspective here. I absolutely believe that this is government overreach to a certain extent, and so we definitely need to be mindful of this. All right, moving forward. Um, And like I said, maybe you guys can send me some stuff in my DMs and stuff like that about what's going on in your neck of the woods. I definitely would be interested to know what kind of things are going on in maybe New York or Chicago, how things are up there. Um, you know, just kind of give me what's going on in your neck of the woods. Again, this may be offensive to some people to even talk about this type of thing, but I think that as a shaman, um, I'm a human too, and I'm affected by this as well. So I just want to kind of put my thoughts out there, and if we can have a respectful dialogue and go back and forth about maybe what are some of you guys see in your neck of the woods and things like that. Because also not all the hospitals are being filled. There are some, and I know we want to keep them empty for the overflow that's being expected. But again, if you're in a hot spot, hot zone area, I kind of get that. You got some other places. I'm like, what exactly is going on here? So I'm interested to see what you guys think about this, and definitely hit me up. Also, stay tuned for my regular love readings. Will continue. I just been kind of taking a break, from this situation, and just kind of doing a lot of contemplating, taking care of my friends and my loved ones. Okay, so I love you guys, and I'll definitely see you next time. See you tomorrow. Okay. Take care of yourself and each other.